Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the channel. Happy Friday. It's June 7th, 6:55 a.m. East Coast time. We're going to break down Game 4 of the Showdown slate. There's now only $200,000 to first instead of your $250,000. Let's not be greedy. It's still up there for the taking. Somebody took it all down in the last game and then about 2 minutes after the game, lost it all, got stack corrected to $500. Imagine losing $250,000 to $500. Welcome to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sal Vetri. Cover daily fantasy sports and all the major sports, and today we're going to be breaking down the NBA. I'll also have some MLB videos out. There's a golf video out for this week, although golf already started, but maybe that'll help with some other things. Have projections on my Patreon, have some other stat databases on my Patreon below. And also, we have to announce, as I can see right here, so I remind myself, a $20 PayPal winner for people following me and becoming a fan on SportsCenter. I took one of those people, or SportsCenter, Sportscaster. It's a streaming service for sports-related content. I took one of those people, and the winner is, I don't have any fancy editing to do for you, Gregory Bamba. Gregory Bamba, or Bamba, if you're watching this right now, reach out to me in the comments of this video or on Twitter. Let me know your PayPal information, your Venmo information. I will be sending you $20 for free, just like that, out of my pocket. I am not poor. But no, thank you. I appreciate all the people who went over to Sportscaster. It was a ton of fun. We streamed over there. People followed me over there, 74 people or so, like in the first day. So that was awesome. That helps me out a ton, being a new partner with them. Lets them show that I could actually bring them some sort of viewership. So I really greatly appreciate that. Some other housekeeping things. I will be live tonight from 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. East Coast time right here on YouTube, breaking down this slate. And then we're going to go over from 6:30 to probably 7:15, 7:30-ish, an additional 45 minutes to an hour on Sportscaster. So if you're watching this right now, go become, it's called a fan on Sportscaster. It's totally free, just like subscribing on YouTube. You'll get a notification. Just in case you forget, I'll be going live for like a total of an hour and a half to 2 hours tonight between the two sites. So I'm excited about that. Make sure to keep the notifications on. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. We are approaching 5,000 subscribers. This is insane. We're, by the end of the day, blah, 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 by the end of the day today, we should probably be like within 100 or so. So if we can get that extra push today, I know there's going to be like 4,000 of you watching this video. If you're not subscribed and you really want to help somebody out make their weekend, please subscribe. I would love to get to 5,000 by the end of the weekend, possibly. That is going to be one of the greatest achievements that this channel, if not the greatest that this channel has reached. So thank you. Check out Draft Dashboard, 30 days for $1 down below. They have a database of tools. They have lineup optimizers. So if you're ever interested in, I want to try these lineup optimizers that all these professionals are using, or quote unquote professionals are using, and figure out how I can get more lineups in, or if I just want to take my own biases out, you can do it for different sports. They have WNBA content. Check it out, 30 days down below. That link does help me. It's only $1 though, so it also helps you. That's it. The housekeeping is out of the way. Like the video, subscribe if you get any value throughout, and make sure everybody watching this, you hit the notification bell, let you know when I'll be going live tonight. So some notes, right? Well, I guess we could start with injuries. OG Anunoby, I mean, I guess he's back. He's not playing, though, so that's something that I don't want to touch on too much. Kevin Durant's out. I don't think Kevin Durant plays in this series, unless maybe it goes to Game 7. Kevon Looney went from being uncertain to play in the rest of the finals and likely going to be out the rest of the finals to now he's questionable. I'm not giving him any minutes today. I just don't see that turnaround. I know they said it wasn't as serious as they thought. If we get more news later on in the day today that's trending positively, I will give Kevon Looney some news. Or some minutes. Now, obviously, the Kevon Looney news actually matters today because if Kevon Looney's in, you lose another type of value or a potential value in Andrew Bogut at $4,000. You lose maybe a super value if you really wanted to punt that $1,600 Jordan Bell. Both of those guys, or at least one of them in Bogut, is probably in play today. Both become at least somewhat in play, Bell too, if Kevon Looney is out. So that's important, right? The other biggest news that we got, and thank you to the Warriors who are always quick with the news in terms of, even in the regular season, not making us wait until 30 seconds before lock, Klay Thompson is going to be back without a minutes limit. That helps us a ton in terms of trying to play fantasy. No minutes limit means that Klay Thompson is going to go out there and play 40 minutes tonight. That means Klay Thompson is going to go out there, and it seems to be like he's healthy. And a hamstring, I saw it takes about 5 days to recover from. It's been about 6 right now, or at least a mild one takes about 5 days to feel good about on. That doesn't factor in your sprinting at a high level in the NBA, but we'll see how it goes. There's always a chance of re-aggravation, but we're not going to try and project that in, right? We don't know that. That's uncertain. So Klay Thompson at 40 minutes today, not only does this help the offensive side, not only does this allow us to understand what's going to happen with the Warriors' minutes as a whole team, right? Quinn Cook, Sean Livingston's minutes, Alfonso McKinney. This helps the defensive side too. Like Kyle Lowry has been the primary defender that Klay Thompson has been on. No Klay Thompson, Kyle Lowry goes off. Is that correlated? Maybe it's random, but I think that Klay Thompson's incredible defense was very much missed in that last game where the Warriors couldn't stop anybody on defense nor score on offense. So a very big focal point overall, obviously KD being out as well. So let's just kind of go down through it. I will hit on some of the things, and let's do this. Cool. I will hit on some of the players that I'm interested in. I will black out some that I'm going to take maybe a stand on or just not play personally, and I have some information to give you. But the information that we already got is huge with the Klay Thompson news. We're still waiting on Kevon Looney, which will actually impact fantasy sports. So, starting at the top, Kawhi versus Steph. If Klay Thompson, and I faded Steph in the last game, and there's a couple of reasons why. I thought Klay was going to play limited, probably around 32 minutes. That's what I had him at. The fact that he went out, I could have changed it, but I was in a situation where I probably couldn't change it. I had plans that night. Real life impacted me. I could have ran into the bathroom and tried to make some lineups with Steph in it. But at the end of the day, I said, you know what? I'll ride out this Steph fade at his high price point, and he has a career night. Oh, well, I lose my 2 or 3 entries, my 3 entries that I put in. But tonight, you're telling me now that Steph is more expensive. Boogie is still back, although Boogie apparently looked like garbage last time and only played 20 minutes. But Klay's going to be back for 40-plus minutes. So I don't expect a career game tonight. The career game took Kevin Durant being out, Boogie playing like garbage and playing only 2/3 of his actual minutes, and no Klay Thompson. And also no Kevon Looney for whatever that's worth. So Steph Curry at 11.8, the most expensive on the slate. I will not say I full fade him as of right now this early in the morning, but I probably will only enter one lineup tonight, and it's probably not going to have Steph Curry in it. Kawhi Leonard I have grading out for 5 more fantasy points tonight, 5.3 more. I have Kawhi projected for 59 points tonight. That's if I project him for 40 minutes of play. If you only give Kawhi, or 41, if you only give Kawhi 40, he gets about 57 fantasy points. So I could actually neutralize this. So if I neutralize this matchup a little bit, he gets 50. I like that a little bit better. 57.5 fantasy points as a projection. 59 is kind of approaching sort of a ceiling. So I have Kawhi at 57. I have Kawhi at 57.4, and I have Steph at 53. So still 4 more points. I do like Kawhi more. Steph, I'm actually going to bump down too, now that this is the rate before I was working with Klay Thompson coming back. So if I bump down Steph, he goes to 49. But I am interested in fading Steph today because of his price point, 1. I do want Kawhi more than him, 2. I do think that Draymond at his price point also $1,400 cheaper. This gap between him and Steph now is wide enough to the point where I think fading him, Steph that is fine. And the only reason that I want to say I want to fade him is he's coming off a career game. He's clearly going to have so much usage. But Klay Thompson is back, and he's the most expensive player on the slate. This is not just we're picking a bunch of players here with no salary implications and just looking at them on an individual level. If that was the case, then yes, Steph Curry is a great player. But I want to somehow get leverage somewhere. And if I'm playing one or a few lineups, fading a guy who's probably going to be out there overall 60 to 70% owned, in the captain spot probably 20% owned, yeah, I'm going to fade that. Actually, his expensive price probably lowers his captain ownership, as we've been seeing with Kawhi. So that's what I'm looking at right now. So if I filter this by salary here, and I want to do that really quickly, let's delete this. Remind me to PayPal somebody so I didn't forget about that little promotion. So make sure, Gregory, you reach out to me. You just became $20 richer. Congrats. So yeah, this is the high range. I probably do play. I do want Kawhi. I don't know about the captain spot yet, and the fact that we have no value at all leads me to believe that I'm not going to be getting to any upper tier player in the captain spot. So right now, I am debating a Steph fade at his high price point, priced at a point where his production is seen as if Boogie is still not going to be out there and Klay is still out. Based on what happened last game, his price goes up. But Klay is now fully back, and I think you could take advantage of that because the usage and the shot attempts should not be as high today for Steph with Klay back. So 10-4 Draymond, we can go down to Draymond. In that last game, Draymond got some sort of, I guess you can say, relief off of Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi only guarded Draymond on 25 possessions in the last game as opposed to the mid-30s, so 10 possessions less. That's really good. The only bad thing is Draymond played much worse. Now, DeMarcus Cousins was on the court for 20 minutes, which probably impacted Draymond's rebounding numbers, which we saw, the lowest that they've been in a while with 7. His assist numbers were completely down. I'd say that that's partially a reason of just other players not being able to hit shots outside of Steph, and a lot of Steph's shots were just unassisted. So you have Iguodala, Draymond finding Iggy, finding Boogie, finding Quinn Cook, and all these guys missing every single shot. That's not on Draymond. So if you say that 4 or 5 more of those guys hit their shots and you have 4 more assists for Draymond, 6 more fantasy points, well, now he's right around that 40-point mark where he's been all season long. And he's, instead of having a game of like, what did he have real point wise in the last game? Did he have 15 or something? I don't know what Draymond finished with. Let's see. 17 again. So instead of having a 17, 7, and 4 game, he gets a 17. Just popcorn machine. He gets a 17, 7, and 8 or 9 game. And those extra assists matter. And he can't get assists unless somebody makes their shots. Nobody on the Warriors are making their shots. Klay being back actually will bump up Draymond because that's another guy who can make his shots. I imagine Boogie Cousins doesn't just get completely dogged into the doghouse today. I know he only got 20 minutes because he was playing bad in that last game. But Cousins being out there should also lead to a couple more assists, or at least one more assist for Draymond's upside compared to Bogut. I would imagine if Draymond's crashing, more guys to dish out to. Cousins is another guy to dish out to. So I have a lot of interest in Draymond Green today. I think that was as low as his floor gets in that last game. Pascal Siakam, 9,400. Price does not change. 40 minutes here is what I have him projected at. And I like Siakam. I have him grading out better than Draymond. I prefer Siakam to Draymond today. It's as simple as that. They're very close, though. So if I put, and I should actually reduce this due to Cousins being back a little bit. So I have Siakam only at 1.03 fantasy points per minute, so nothing crazy. His like yearly average towards the second half of the regular season was like 1.1, 1.15. I have him grading out for 41.2 fantasy points today. I have Draymond grading out for 38.5. This isn't a huge difference, but let's keep in mind that Siakam's $1,000 cheaper. I prefer Siakam to Draymond. With that said, I like both players. I'm going to try to get to both players today. With the fade of Steph, I think I'll be able to. Klay Thompson, 8,600. Price comes up $200. He seems to have no minutes limit. 40 minutes out of Klay is a good thing. I'm probably not going to get to Klay Thompson personally. $8,600 though. There's a chance I get there. This is the spot on the slate that I have to see the most of. Look, he's coming off a hamstring injury. He could re-aggravate it. That's going to keep his ownership most likely naturally lower, right? But if indeed he is a full go, and we got that, 36 hours before the game started, that seems pretty confident that he's fine. He's running well. They saw something they liked, and they said, yep, he's good. He's going to play the whole game. So Klay is the spot right now that I have to make a decision on. He's clearly the guy who in game 2 would have won everybody the money in like 8 guys, and I think Manny Laura was one of them, tied for first in that $250K to first after he was going just absolutely bonkers. There's no reason he can't do that again. He is clearly shooting dependent as well. So Klay will be a guy I have to make a decision on, maybe get it out of my own personal biases. Kyle Lowry is finally in the 8K range, and after this we'll kind of dip down below now. So Kyle Lowry is finally in the 8K range here, goes up $400. I like the fact that he played 43 minutes and he didn't play the final minute. A lot of the starters didn't play the final minute of that game during the blowout. Kyle Lowry was going to play about 44 to 45 minutes, 44 and a half according to Popcorn Machine, if that game didn't blow out. So I have him projected for 42 minutes today, tied for the most with Steph Curry, and I do like this a lot. The only issue that I see, and I have him projected for 41 fantasy points today if he gets that run, the only issue that I see is Klay Thompson is back, probably going to be his primary defender for the most part, and that is surely going to be limiting Kyle Lowry on the offensive side. So that ceiling game that you see from Lowry, it leads me to believe that I kind of want to bump it down a little bit, not too much, but gets you to 39.39. So Lowry is still in play for me, very much live. I have to break down into this a little bit more, maybe see these actual matchups one-on-one with Klay and see how he's doing into breaking down into advanced stats, see how he's shooting, seeing his true shooting percentage. Because Klay being back not only is going to help the Warriors team on the offensive side, but also the defensive side. And that was probably the biggest reason why Lowry played exceptionally well. And also the fact that he shot, 5 of 7 from three-pointer range doesn't help or doesn't hurt him at all. So Lowry, I think, is in a spot here where he's still underpriced relative to being a showdown slate. The amount that he's going to play, the amount that he's going to control the ball, his usage, his shot attempts, his assist numbers, he should probably be priced a little bit higher, probably closer to Klay. Keep in mind, Kyle Lowry is a point guard. Klay is a shooting guard. I understand Klay's a great shooter, but Lowry just more times than not will score more fantasy points because he just has more usage at the point guard position, has more double-double upsides. So I do like Lowry. Klay and Lowry is this weird range for me. And I'm going to have to probably decide on one of them, or I could fade both of those, and I think that that's a spot that I'm debating more and more. Fade that range and try and get me some Pascal, Draymond, and Kawhi lineups and see where I can fit. DeMarcus Cousins at 6,800. His price goes down about $400. He only played 20 minutes. I didn't know why he played 20 minutes. Everybody in the comments let me know that he was playing absolutely terrible. He still looked injured, which is very surprising to me after he played nearly 30 minutes the game before that and looked really good, at least to me. So maybe there was some soreness, fatigue. Maybe he re-aggravated something and he's not telling us. Somebody told me that you have to watch the games. You're missing everything or something like that. No, I don't. The game's in at midnight. I get up at 5 in the morning. That's not realistic for me. I'd be a tired person all day long. Don't want that. And I could figure out what happens in the games literally 40 minutes later the next morning by checking Popcorn Machine, advanced stats, who guarded who, literally the exact same thing. I would like to watch the games, but if they're going to start at 9 p.m. on the West Coast and end around midnight, it's just not viable for me. I don't care that much about these teams to stay up. And to be honest with you, these NBA Finals are terrible. If Kevin Durant was back, they'd probably still be terrible, just more so the Warriors pounding up on a team. So either way, I probably wouldn't enjoy the game. So Cousins at 6,800. I'm projecting him for 28 minutes. Look, I get it. He only got 20. He was playing terrible. He got played off the court, apparently, by Andrew Bogut, which is just dirty to even say. I don't think the guy that they just went out this offseason to get just for the finals, let's be honest here, maybe the Western Conference against the Rockets, but just for the finals, to win another final, they didn't play him the whole first half of the year. The second half of the year, he was limited the entire time. Rarely saw anywhere near 30 minutes. It was around 25 to 26. Gets to the playoffs, gets injured. Now he's back. Didn't think he was going to be back, but now he's back. This guy is not going to be a bench player now in the finals. I get it. It's a sunk cost, you can say, and what that means is you already paid for the guy. If it's not working out, you don't have to use it. It's a sunk cost. I get it, but I think in sports, more times than not, they don't view it that way. They view it as, we paid for this guy, he better get on the court. And he's still a great player. Let's not try and confuse ourselves here and say, oh, well, Andrew Bogut is now all of a sudden a better player, even when Cousins is a little bit injured. No, I got Cousins at 28 minutes today. That gives him a pretty good fantasy production spot at 31.5. I think Cousins was burning a ton of people last game. And if we don't get no more news before the start, if Cousins is still starting in this game, I'm probably going to run Cousins out there at 6,800. I think he makes very, very interesting and low-owned captain, and I think you can see a 40-point production spot if he just gets going early on. I understand that he looked terrible in the last game. Maybe they take advantage of that again, but I'm somebody here who thinks this is a decent contrarian spot. Marc Gasol, 6,400, way too cheap. There's not much to say here. I haven't projected for 30 minutes. Look, he saw 26 in the last game. Ibaka saw more minutes, but you have to break down into it. There was foul trouble. We can go to Popcorn Machine right here. Marc Gasol picks up his second and third foul with 4 minutes left, or 3:13 left in the second half. So he loses 3 minutes there, 3 minutes and 15 seconds to be exact. So 3 minutes, 0.25, whatever you want to call it. And those minutes were directly picked up by Ibaka, who finished out the second half by getting 3 minutes and 13 seconds. Ibaka would have never got these minutes if Marc Gasol did not pick up foul trouble. So what I do there is I just take that 3:13 off of Ibaka. That gives him 18.5. And I add that 3:13 to Marc Gasol, which puts him right at 30 minutes. So you see 30 for there, and then you get 18 for Ibaka. That's what I feel comfortable with. That's where those extra minutes from Ibaka came from in this game. And that's why Marc Gasol's minutes were dropped by about 3 to 3.5 because of the foul trouble in that second quarter. So that all said, I think that Marc Gasol is, and I'll adjust this, I think that Marc Gasol is fine today. I have him at 28.46. Obviously at $6,400, that's really good. But if you compare that to DeMarcus Cousins at 6,800, who I have projected for playing exceptionally well, and I should probably limit this a little bit because he is injured, and I should factor in defense a little bit more. I already have defense factoring in a lot. But no matter how much I juice down DeMarcus Cousins, his points per minute is just still ridiculous when he's out there. So he's still going to be grading out well. 28.5 if I juice down his point per minute to 1.25. That's something that I have to play around with today. Or 29.5. Marc Gasol's around 28.5. So these guys grade out very similar to me. I like both of them. Fred VanVleet, $6,000. This is the thing that's interesting. You saw Lowry play 43 minutes in that last game. Fred VanVleet still played 33. These guys are playing alongside of each other. Fred VanVleet is literally staying in these games to guard Steph Curry. Now, obviously, Steph was unconscious. He played really well. Also took a ton of shots, but he shot well. And he's guarding Steph Curry for VanVleet. He's going to be out there. So $6,000 for a guy that you can pretty much lock into your lineups for probably 32 minutes and feel really good about it. That's pretty good. So this range is so vital because you're about to approach a range where there's nothing, right? And this range, in terms of finding a captain, in my eyes, is very important between your Marc Gasols, your DeMarcus Cousins, and potentially even your Kyle Lowry / Fred VanVleets. Go up to Clay as well. That's the range that I'm really looking for. I probably cancel Fred VanVleet from that range. So for me, a captain spot probably includes today between Gasol, Cousins, Klay Thompson, and Pascal Siakam. Those four. I'm going to skip over Lowry because he just had a huge game. He's still injured with that thumb. Let's be honest here. It's still going to limit him somewhat. And Klay Thompson is coming back, a guy who suffocated him the first two games when he was the primary defender. So that's where I'm looking early on. Fred VanVleet, 6,000 is a fine type of player in your utility spot. I prefer Fred VanVleet to Andre Iguodala. I understand Iggy has been performing well, averaging like 26 fantasy points per game through the first three. He's still cheap at 5,800. That doesn't mean I don't want to get to him. I just have Fred VanVleet producing a little bit better here in his matchup. And let me actually break down into this really quick. Yeah, I have been producing a little bit better, and the main reason why is because I have Fred VanVleet getting an extra 5 minutes. I have Iggy at 28 minutes. I have Fred VanVleet at 33. Fred VanVleet was going to play 34 in that last game if he played the final minute of the game when it was a blowout. So, yeah, that's what I like that. Just because of the extra minutes out of VanVleet, you're telling me that these guys, production-wise, are pretty much the same. Fred VanVleet gets it in different ways, right? Pure scoring, assists. Andre Iguodala will pick up your steals, maybe a block, some more rebounds. But if you're telling me that they're pretty much the same player, Fred VanVleet's priced at only $200 more, and there's a 5-minute gap on average, at least in this series, that's what we're seeing in terms of that favoring Fred VanVleet. Yeah, so that's where I get Fred VanVleet a little bit more because I view them as the same price point, and I have Fred VanVleet projected for 26.6 and Andre Iguodala projected for 22.8. No, nothing crazy different, but that's how it's seen. So now we get into the iffy territory, the moment everybody might be waiting for. And let me see some of the other things I've written down here. I've been covering everything perfectly. Danny Green's 4,800. His price spikes $1,200. He had a ceiling performance. He shot 6 of 10. All 10 shots and all 6 makes were from 3-point range. He shot 60% from 3. That's not something that's going to be sustained. So let's get that out of the way right now. Danny Green is priced at a point at 4,800 where you probably need 25 fantasy points out of him. That doesn't feel good. That doesn't feel good at all. The guy had to go off 6 of 10 for 3 to do that in the last game. Klay Thompson will be back, guard him a little bit. Klay Thompson will be back, which means Danny Green is going to have to play a little bit more sharper defense on a guy like Klay, focus more there, not as much as he had to with Quinn Cook out there running around and Alfonso McKinney, right? That's who Danny Green was guarding in that last game. And Sean Livingston to a smaller extent, but not really. So Danny Green at 4,800, I don't want to blacklist this guy. I don't want to just say I don't want to play him at all for a few reasons. He got 27 minutes in that last game, but he was in foul trouble. He picked up his 3rd foul, and he didn't play the last like 7 or 8 minutes of the second quarter. And then he picked up his 5th foul with about 3 minutes left in the game. He checks out, doesn't come back in. So he plays 27 minutes, being in foul trouble for pretty much a good part of that. I think he sees an extra minute in the first half, and out of those last 3.5, maybe he still comes out early because it was a blowout, but he probably sees 2 more minutes. I have Danny Green projected for 30 minutes today. And I think that that's very realistic. He's going to start. He was going to see it in the last game. The problem is, I don't think Danny Green shoots 6 of 10 from 3-point range. I don't even think he takes 10 3-pointers in this game. He was shooting unconscious like a lot of that team. So $4,800, it's steep, right? What you're saying there is if you want him to 5X, which I don't think is viable, I don't think you should be doing value for a showdown slate because you pretty much just need everybody to hit their ceilings. But a guy who's as streaky, a shooting guard is always going to be streaky, but a streaky shooter like Danny Green, $4,800 is this price point where I'm still like, ooh, I could get there. And the only reason I could get there is there's nothing left really below this. So I'm going to still stay there, but keep in mind, he shot 6 of 10 from 3, super efficient. He's not going to do that again. So at 4,800, the price coming up, it's probably more so a bad play than a good play. But if he's going to give me an extra 3 minutes in this game, which means maybe he gets an extra assist, maybe he gets an extra steal, an extra shot made, he can make up for it there. So I have Danny Green at the end of the day projecting out for 21.81 fantasy points, so right around 22 fantasy points. At 4,800, I suspect that's not enough, but with the lack of value on this slate, 22 fantasy points could be enough. So I have to see what my builds look like. Serge Ibaka, I said he played about 22 minutes in the last game. He got an extra 3.5 because of foul trouble for Gasol in the second. So I have him bumped down to 18 minutes. At 18 minutes, he pretty much produces a fantasy point per minute, 17.9 fantasy points. He's in play for me at 4,400. I prefer Danny Green to Serge Ibaka tonight for $400 more. He's going to be playing at least 10 more minutes than Serge Ibaka, more times than not tonight. Serge Ibaka is a much better fantasy point per minute producer, but just based on that pure minute boost to Danny Green, that's who I prefer there. I think Ibaka is still in play. Now you get to the range that just got awful. We have to see what happens with Kevon Looney. You get a $4,000 Andrew Bogut on this slate, so I'm not paying that. Andrew Bogut saw 20-something minutes in the last game. 1, because Kevon Looney was out, which I think is still going to happen. 2, because he was playing really well, and for some reason, DeMarcus Cousins was playing like an absolute toaster, an absolute dumpster fire. I imagine that's not the case tonight, or at least it should not be. Maybe some more motivation out of DeMarcus, especially at home, would be nice to see. So you got your ceiling game out of Andrew Bogut, I would say, in that last game. 20 minutes, 21 fantasy points, whatever it was. 21 minutes, 20 fantasy points. And now he's priced as if he's going to do that every time out. $4,000 for him to, again, 5x if we just want to have an indicator of value. Don't go off of that for building showdown lineups. But that would be him scoring 20 points. He's not going to do that every single time. That is his ceiling. He's now priced there. I'm not paying $4,000 for Andrew Bogut. I haven't projected for 15 minutes today, even with DeMarcus Cousins only projected for 28. I say only lightly. 15 minutes for Bogut gets me 12.61 fantasy points. That's not worth it at $4,000, not at all, especially when you have guys who are $400 more in Ibaka projecting out for 5.5 more points, and a guy in Danny Green who's $800 more, and for me, he's at least projecting out for an extra almost 10 points, 9.5. So I don't want any Bogut. Sean Livingston, I had projected for 16 minutes today. The thing that concerns me about Sean Livingston, he didn't play the final, what was it here? I have it written down. Sean Livingston doesn't play the final 18 minutes of the game. And I get some of those final minutes, the last 2 or 3 were complete blowout. But he doesn't play the final 18 minutes of the game in a game where Klay Thompson wasn't playing. That's concerning to me. This is a guy who has been closing out a little bit, or at least he got checked back in game 2 when the Warriors actually won. He stole that ball, or he secured the ball, which then he passed to Iggy for the 3. So it's a little bit concerning that he didn't play those final 18 minutes. At $3,900, he is right now the most viable player to me below $4,000. And he's $3,900, which is too expensive in my mind. 16 minutes I've been projecting out for 10 fantasy points tonight. But here's the thing, on a slate like this, where maybe that's enough to try and fit in one value piece, $3,900 Sean Livingston is surely in play. But boy, is that gross. And I just want to double check and make sure that these prices are actually right on these guys. Because Bogut at $4,000, oh my God, this is just disgusting. Livingston. So no, they're not. Perfect. This is good that I checked this as I'm doing this. This is Livingston's captain price. So that's something that got messed up in my model. So these showdown slates, since there's double pricing that comes into my model, it tries to scan out the lowest one, and sometimes it gets messed up. So Quinn Cook, 3,000. So Sean Livingston at 2,600 is now very much in play. When I saw 3,900, I was like, there's no way that's right. $2,600 Sean Livingston is the best player below $4,000 in my mind. And I just want to check one more thing. There is no 7K players, correct? Yes, there's no 7K players, which is extremely interesting. You get this drop from Lowry to Cousins of $1,200, and you're like, what the hell? So just checking on everybody else's prices. Perfect. I'm really happy that we were just able to see that before this video went out. So Sean Livingston at 2,600, 16 minutes, 10 fantasy points, but he's 2,600. That's the most viable play below $4,000 in my mind. He's going to see 15 plus minutes tonight. Quinn Cook with Klay Thompson back, I don't want any of. 10 minutes, 8 fantasy points, not going to work. Alfonso McKinney, 8 minutes I had projected for 5.5, 7 fantasy points, or 5.7 fantasy points, not going to work. Norman Powell saw 6 minutes in the first half, nothing in the second half. They don't want to play this guy. 4 fantasy points. Jordan Bell I had projected for 7 fantasy points, and he's the guy I think can see the biggest tick in terms of taking some of Bogut's minutes, but doesn't seem likely that that happens after how well Bogut played in the last game, or how well, or at least decent. Jerebko's just another guy that they're giving minutes to, and he really shouldn't be out there right now. So, in terms of blacking players out, I'll black out these bottom 5 guys. And this leaves me with a player pool of 14 players. You guys know that I like to get a little bit less than that. Obviously, if a guy like Kevon Looney comes back, Kevon Looney would be the guy I'm interested in over Andrew Bogut. So if Kevon Looney is back, yes, I have interest in Kevon Looney. It probably takes a couple of minutes off of Jordan Bell, which doesn't really matter for me. It would take Andrew Bogut out of the picture. Kevon Looney would probably, I'd give him majority of those minutes that Bogut was getting, if not all. This is where I'm at. I can't take Sean Livingston out at 2,600 because that price point is just too good for seeing 15 plus minutes on a slate where there is really no viable value, right? Andrew Bogut is another guy I'm going to black out. So there's your 13 players. Why are you blocking out Andrew Bogut, Sal? Well, the only way he does what he did again, and he wasn't even needed in the winning lineup, the only way that he does what he did again is if Cousins continues to get just dogged off the court. Bogut continues to play well. They don't give more minutes to Bell. All this stuff adds up to it's very unlikely. And he's $4,000. Look, Bogut's not $2,200 anymore. He's not $2,800. He's not even $3,000. $3,000 I'd think about. He's $4,000. Serge Ibaka is a much better play, better point per minute guy, better solid minutes at least out of him with upside for more minutes. He's only $400 more. Danny Green's going to see probably double the amount of minutes as Andrew Bogut. He's only $800 more. There's no way you can talk me into Andrew Bogut on this slate, personally. So 13 players left in my player pool. This is where I'm at. I don't think it's valuable to be rostering Steph Curry or Kawhi in the captain spot tonight. There's just no value. If you do, you would have to go to Sean Livingston, which is going to be every other person's lineup at that point. But then you're also going to have to find Danny Green value. And you're going to have to give up players like Draymond, Siakam, and maybe even Clay, and maybe even Lowry in that 8K range if you roster Steph or Kawhi at captain. And you're going to have to fill out the rest of your lineup with maybe the other one. Maybe you roster Steph at captain, you fill out Kawhi, but then you're playing Sean Livingston, Serge Ibaka, Danny Green, Andre Iguodala. Like, that lineup might seem nice, but the upside that you're leaving on the table by not getting any pieces of Klay Thompson, Siakam, Draymond, Cousins, it seems like that's the way that you want to go. Get an extra one of those pieces if you can. Maybe put them in your captain spot. The captain range that I'm looking at right now, and the players, at least early on, that I'm looking at are Pascal Siakam, Klay Thompson, DeMarcus Cousins, Marc Gasol. Those 4 players. If you said, Sal, filter it down more, filter it down more. I have no clue right now. But if I had to filter it down a little bit more, and this is just due to pricing, like I like Draymond a lot tonight. I like Kawhi a ton tonight, but due to pricing, I'm not going to fit them in my captain. We saw game 2, Kawhi scores 65 fantasy points, not needed in the captain spot because some other players played well, i.e. Klay Thompson, i.e. DeMarcus Cousins. Right now, I'm very interested in one lineup to probably throw DeMarcus Cousins in the captain spot, 6,800. I think he bounces back here if he plays 28 minutes. I have him at around 30 fantasy points, and that's at a very median, modest projection point. Klay Thompson out there takes some coverage away. I do like this. I do like Cousins' upside. Marc Gasol's upside is there, but really, does Marc Gasol have a 45-point game on the road in him? And that's kind of what you need out of a captain tonight is 40 plus, most likely. So I'm going to be leaning on Cousins and a Siakam and then a Klay Thompson as my 3 options. As of right now, it's so early, but that's where I'm at. So let me know what you thought of the video. Drop down in the comments. Like the video, and if you could please subscribe, especially if you made it this far, and hit the notification bell. 5:30 to 6:30 tonight, East Coast time. We're going to be live breaking this down even more. Hopefully we have some more news maybe on Kevon Looney really is the only big thing that we need. Maybe we'll get some more clearance or closure on DeMarcus Cousins. If he's starting, I like him a lot, and he's probably going to be a guy that I seriously consider for the captain spot alongside Siakam tonight. So that's all I got. Make sure to follow me on Sportscaster. Follow me on Twitter. Appreciate it all. Thank you guys. Thank you all so much. My name's Sal. You already know that. Peace out, gang.